changing lawyers to ask questions to different witnesses. Why is this?
Okay, well, I don't think it's expertise. It's different expertise in the law. I think they pick the lawyers. I mean, first of all, one lawyer couldn't cover all of these witnesses for 6 weeks. That would be a preposterous amount of work. They pick and choose it by design of who would be more effective with what witnesses. So sort of the people who are sort of prim and proper, they get the expert witnesses. Obviously, they picked a very good person to cross-examine Amber Heard. You just try to match it up correctly so you have the right person asking the questions to the right witness. I don't think the area of law is that critical in deciding that.
You know, Antoinette, people I saw...
I should turn off the background music. Welcome to my stream. Ooh, welcome to my stream. Oh, lordy. Wow, that's a blurry shot. You're not actually able to see my shot. Hang on. Excuse me. So I'm just waiting for the coverage to come back. Oh my god. Oh, my hay fever. It's a nightmare. That is a great... These are all great still shots of this guy. He's such an expressive face. This was the lad yesterday that was so entertaining. Hopefully they bring him back out. That'd be great. Doodle 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 doo 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 doo. I need to tweet out that I'm live. Oh god, Jesus, look how blurry all of those. I wonder, am I watching it not in full HD or something? 720p. Look how blurry that shot is. I suppose it's because it's live, maybe. Oh, 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 oh. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Danielle, yep, I imagine that their time is running out. I should probably go full screen for this because there's nothing really happening. Our team only had 4 hours left. Now, what I wasn't quite sure about was somebody said that they're just using a tiny bit of their 4 hours to cross-examine people he's bringing up. So I don't know if that actually comes out of their time. I'm presuming that it does. Danielle, yeah, you said they definitely have less after this morning, so I'm presuming that the cross-examination takes away from their time. Yeah, there you go. So, welcome back, Joseph. Hi, Vala. Welcome. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, let me put on my earphones. Le jury is coming in. Okay, it's this guy again. I'm really hoping they recall the dude who was hilarious yesterday. Oh, not another fucking sidebar. Yes, Danielle, get some tea. Johnny Depp's face. Oh, I don't know. I'm not showing you the trial. Johnny Depp's face there. Okay. So there's the sound.
That when
I'm just going to give you that question again.
Did you also analyze the testimony of Ms. Arnold in this case?
yes, I did.
And are you aware of her opinion that Ms. Heard's career would have followed the same
Please look at
trajectory
Johnny
as that of
Depp's face
Jason
here.
Momoa, Gal Gadot, Zendaya,
Please
Ana
look at his
de
face.
Armas, and Chris Pine, if not for the Waldman statement?
Yeah.
What's your understanding of
He's
Ms.
like-
Arnold's basis for her opinion that Ms.
For
Heard's
real?
career should have been similar to that of those identified actors?
Miss Arnold stated that when producers or her industry is looking to hire talent and actors.
Okay, so sorry,
that
I'm
it's
just going to get us
important-
back to real time.
No. Although she stated that, she went in and brought in these comparable alleged comparable
I don't think I could be a
actors,
juror
and,
either, Vala.
without
They
really
mentioned earlier that there's
reasoning
6.
behind
They were
that.
like, turn to page 6,000. I'm out. I'm fully
Did you
out.
conduct an analysis
I'm biased
based on
against
your
everyone.
expertise in social media
I'm
and
out.
analytics of Ms. Heard compared to the actors to
This
whom
Pirates
Ms.
of the
Arnold,
Caribbean sequel
compared.
is not as good as the
I did.
others.
And what did you find?
Well, since Ms. Arnold stated that the proper approach is looking at the public perspective, looking into social media, and she did not do that, I felt that was the best approach to do this based on her words. So yes, I did go into best understanding the public perspective of Ms. Heard and the alleged comparable actors using Q scores. Then I also went.
Oh, this is the Q score guy.
Online and on social media.
I knew
as
I
well.
recognized him from
Can you
something.
briefly remind the jury what Q scores are?
Oh, here we
Yeah,
go.
again, Q scores measure how
I'm here
well
for this.
a celebrity, it could be a cartoon character, it could be a sports person, how well they're known, how well they're liked, and how much they're disliked.
Slán
And
agus
it's
beannacht,
an
Joseph.
industry standard tool that's used. It's not just focused on the movies that they're in, but it's focused
tomorrow.
on them as
Welcome, Bonnie.
actors, but also
Welcome, Two Worlds in
what's
One.
happening in their personal lives.
Welcome, Brandy.
Come to play as well. So that's how Q scores are typically.
I'm also glad you have a slow day at work
Prepare
so you
a
can catch my live
demonstrative that
stream.
reflects the Q score
Hell yeah.
analysis you completed.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach again? All right, thank you.
So sometimes they say, what I've figured out is that sometimes they say, may I approach to give something to the judge, and then sometimes they say, may we approach to like argue up there. I'm still at it, awful and very hard.
No objection to the demonstrative.
All right, we'll identify plaintiffs.
We're all working
1296,
together, pallet hands.
For identification and publish to the jury.
Welcome, Saladin. Welcome back.
Mr. Banya, what point in time do these Q scores represent that are reflected on your demonstrative?
So this These are the winter 2019 Q scores that are reflected here. And what was important for me is I wanted to find Q scores that represented Miss Heard after Aquaman. And remember Aquaman, December of 2018. These Q scores were gathered January and February of 19, but before the Waldman statements.
And what did you find based on the Q score?
Ugh. Fucking audio gone again.
Scores, and the higher the number, the better. As you can see, Ms. Godot has the highest Q score out of the group of actors here at a 28. But you're going to notice Ms. Heard has the lowest positive Q score. She has a 9. So I find that very interesting that she doesn't appear to fit in as a comparable with these alleged comparable actors. I think what's also interesting is the average Q score for all actors being
is
scored
way
at
higher.
that time, which include all the alleged comparable actors here, score at an average of 17. And you can see, again, she
I
is
wonder could
9
this
well
hurt
below
their
that.
case, because although he did say it was
And then on
prior to the
right
Waldman
side, you can
statements,
see the
actually, didn't he?
negative Q scores. So this is how much people
As long as that's
dislike
before the Waldman
you.
statements,
So the lower
this
the score is
kills
better.
Amber's
You can
case
see
in
Mr. Momoa is
IMO.
over here with the lowest at an 8. But you can see
So a
Ms.
Q
Heard is
score,
28, which was quite a difference.
a Q score.
A 20-point difference from Mr. Momoa, and also a 10-point difference, from the average of all actors.
So just going to mute for a second to explain this. He'd explained Q scores as like an indication of positive and negative sentiment towards a public person or an actor or whatever else, and that this is something that is used in Hollywood and in the industry to figure out whether or not audiences like an actor or actress, and they're used as a measure on to inform hiring and stuff like that. So the fact that she has a low positive score means that the positive score means people feel positively about you, and the negative score means people feel negatively. And so she has a low positive and a high negative. So like before the Waldman statements. So like she's trying to pretend that she's on the same as Jason Momoa, is much better liked than she is, etc., etc. That's what he's trying to show here.
She did, yes.
And what's your understanding of what that criticism is?
Well, what I believe she was saying is that I should have ran Q scores for these allegedly comparable actors after each of their breakout films, which I disagree. First of all, Q scores doesn't work like that. Q scores are available twice a year, so it's not that I could pick a month or a different month for each of the Q score actors. So I feel that, what was important for me, and this doesn't always happen when I'm using Q scores, you can get this perfect moment in time, as Ms. Heard said, but as Ms. Arnold said, that, Aquaman was Ms. Heard's breakout moment. So these scores reflect that breakout moment.
Is
and
Ana
they're terrible Q
de
scores.
Armas so
How would your
unlikable? I have no
analysis
idea who that
change
is.
if you had used, Ms. Arnold's
Has Jason
logic with
Momoa
respect
given
to
evidence
the
yet? No.
timing of the Q
I don't think he's
scores
going
they
to.
looked at?
Like, he's just been
I mean,
dragged
if you
into
really
this.
think about
He's
what,
nothing to do with it.
Miss Arnold was saying is
He's only been dragged
saying
into it
that
'cause
she thinks
Amber's
Q
like,
scores
I'm
are
just
the
as famous as
highest
he is.
for each actor right after
sorry.
their breakout moment. So I would think, if anything, these Q scores could have been a bit lower because it's not right after their breakout moment. But what's important for me is the fact that these scores reflect, who Amber Heard was at the time before the Waldman statements, but after the Aquaman release.
We can take that one down, Tom. Thank you. What other work
Before
have
the
you done,
Waldman
in
statements, I
connection
think
with
that
forming your
destroys her
opinion?
case. Because you were
Again,
already
taking
hated
advice
before the
from Ms.
Waldman
Arnold is
case.
important. She says the industry looks
Statements.
into social media, what their followings are like, with the numbers.
But doesn't
as it
Amber
relates to
Heard
their
only have like
followers.
200,000 followers now
Again, what
or
is
something?
the public perception of them?
So, like-
I analyzed
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Jason
their
Momoa had like 1 million
social media accounts.
or a couple million.
But prior to the the Waldman statement. So,
And how did you do that?
yeah, so what I did, I don't know if you're all familiar with the archive.org. They have a tool called the Wayback Machine.
Are you joking me? You use the Wayback Machine for a legal argument.
So you can go
Fuck
back in
off.
time
The
to
Wayback
see what
Machine could
websites and
not
what pages
be
used to look
accurate
like,
enough. Surely.
In the past, not all
Fuck
the time. Can
off.
you
Would you not
actually get,
use like Google
celebrities'
Cache or something?
Social media accounts to have been archived. But
Surely the
we're
Wayback
fortunate
Machine
that
is
each of the alleged
a Mickey
terrible
Mouse
actors' social media
instrument,
accounts
no?
were in archive.org. So I was able to go back in time prior to the Waldman statements to see what the following activity was for each of the alleged comparable actors.
That's hilarious.
Mr. Banya, did you prepare a demonstrative that reflects your social media analysis?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
No objection to the demonstrative.
All right, we'll mark it for identification purposes. Plaintiffs 1297.
Trials would be so much easier if we had time machines.
Anya, could you tell the jury what you found when you looked at the social media?
LOL, it's a snapshot
Yeah, so
tool.
what
I
found,
know,
again,
but I
this is
just,
prior to the Waldman statements.
but it's
The
like,
first thing you're going to notice here is
it's not a
all
official,
actors
like, it
use
just doesn't
social media.
feel,
You're going to see Mr. Pine doesn't have
Just
Facebook,
seems a bit
Twitter,
mental.
or Instagram, and Momo
That's
and
just
Darmus
Photoshop.
don't use Facebook or Twitter. But what's important
Wayback
to look
Machine is a
at
website. You can go and you can
have
see
misheard prior to
what
the Waldman
websites
statements
looked
with
like on a certain
3.8,
day. I just can't, I just
Instagram
didn't think that they
followers
would
and
accept that in a court of law.
142,000,
Because anybody can use
Twitter
it, like it's, I'm
followers.
pretty sure it's
And
a
then you
free,
move
I want to say
down
open source.
Gal
Am I think,
Gadot,
is it just free?
with 37 million Instagram followers compared to her 3.8 million. And, you know, the 2.3 million Twitter followers compared to Ms. Heard's 142,000. And you can then even go down to Zendaya with 65 million,
Oh, she's getting absolutely bodied.
million Twitter
Oh, this is
followers.
so embarrassing.
What this is telling me is really, you know, more people are interested in Ms. Gadot and Zendaya and even Mr. Momoa than Ms. Heard.
Even that
on
woman I've
social
never heard
media.
of has
It
a
just
million and a
tells
half
me lot
followers
of
on
people are
Instagram. I'm
interested
surprised
in
Amber
this
Heard has
actor
3.8 million
as
followers on
opposed to
Instagram.
her more of a following,
How does she,
Q-scores
and she only has 200,000 Twitter
well-liked,
followers?
less disliked, so it kind of fits into the analysis.
Palatines,
of
unfortunately, are a bit out of
determining
touch.
whether or not
Zendaya is like a
these
very
alleged
famous actress,
comparable
goes out with
actors
Tom
are
Holland,
actually
has been on Disney Channel since she was like,
Based on your expertise, what are your
13.
overall opinions about Ms. Arnold's
she's in the
analysis
new
of
Spider-Man
so-called comparable
series.
actors?
Yes, again, you know, it appears that
And
she's
Dune.
abandoned
She's
this
in Dune.
approach, and I agree with that. I feel that, you know, through the Q-score analysis,
they
and
should have
the,
that coffin carrying meme for
social
Amber
media
Siegel.
analysis, that they're just not comparable.
Yeah, definitely.
Tom, we can take that one down. Mr. Banya, based on all the analysis you did in this case, what are your overall opinions?
Yes, my overall opinions are that Mr. Schnell failed to prove any causal connection with the Waldman statements and the search or the hashtag activity, those spikes as it relates to Twitter. There's no causal connection there. My second opinion is, you know, based on my social media and Q-score analysis, Ms. Arnold's alleged comparable actors are not comparable. And then third, Ms. Arnold.
I'd say she's fuming.
and
Look
Mr.
how
Schmidt
furiously she's writing.
both failed to prove any causation.
I've learned today
as
Amber
it
is most
relates
famous
to
for
the
beating up
Waldman
somebody.
statements causing economic harm to Ms. Heard. So, you know, as a damages expert, which Ms. Arnold is, you need to take into consideration
The fact that
causation
everybody
before
hated
you
her.
can calculate
The fact that
damages.
everybody hated
You
her
look at
before this
damages,
happened.
And you look at this allegedly damaging event, and not only do you have to prove that 100% of the damages because of these Waldman statements, she didn't even consider COVID. It happened at the same time. You know, a lot of actors probably made a lot less money because of COVID. Maybe films didn't get made. And, you know, when you do...
Rottenborn
analysis
looks
of damages,
raging,
you
doesn't
prove
he?
causation, but you also
He's
have to look
like,
at everything else
fuck
that
my
might have
life.
caused this alleged economic harm. And she didn't look into any of that. She didn't even know what causation was. So I don't think damages is an appropriate approach in this case.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination.
Here we go. They're gonna like ask some stupid questions here. This. Oh, I thought I got confused between the lawyers. I was about to be like, this is a new lawyer, and then I realized I was looking at Johnny Depp's lawyers.
I am a damages expert, but not providing any quantitative damages opinions in this case.
In this case, okay.
So you are an expert.
Is it
Oh, rage,
your
rotten born.
testimony that only if a person repeats the Waldman-Depp statements could they be related to the defamation?
What? No, you fucking moron.
Say that one more time.
Are you saying that a person literally has to repeat the Waldman-Depp statements in a tweet for them to be related to the defamation?
No, he's saying
no, if
that
you
things
look
that
at my
happened before the
analysis, I
fucking
did pick the
statement
three themes
couldn't
of
possibly
the
be to do with it,
tweets,
you
and I
moron.
analyzed those themes, and I came up with 5 examples of when those themes were used.
And you ran searches for, quote, abuse hoax, sexual violence hoax, and fake sexual violence, and you ran all those in quotes, correct?
I did.
So only if a person used
No, don't ask him that.
words in that order and with that spacing would they hit on your searches, correct?
Objection, compound.
I thought he was going to ask him.
Yeah, so I used
So
them in quotes
would they only
because,
come up in search
hoax
if
could be
the
used
people
in
had
any other
used
context.
inverted
To
commas?
make sure I was fitting my search with the theme of the Waldman
God,
statements.
Ronborn's an
So
idiot.
if someone tweeted misheard faked sexual violence, that wouldn't appear in your searches, correct? Faked with an ED.
It would not.
Okay. And if they use 2 spaces between abuse and hoax, that wouldn't fit in your search.
That's correct.
And if they swung from a tree while you were tweeting it, you wouldn't be able to fucking tell that with your search, would you?
A tweet can
What if it
only
was my
be
cat
80
tweeting?
characters, correct?
What if my cat tweeted
correct.
and misspelled the word abuse?
So, certain of the
Come on, Rottenborn. That's the
statements,
next question.
A person could not tweet the whole thing in one tweet, correct? The whole statement in one tweet,
The Waldman statements?
correct?
Yep. Well, why would anyone,
you
bar
could
Waldman,
not
want to tweet the
that
fucking
into
statement?
Those entire quotes.
Did you make any determination if there was an online bullying campaign against Mr. Depp after Ms. Heard's op-ed?
I didn't look into any online bullying campaign for Ms. Heard nor Mr. Depp.
Did you determine if there were tweets harassing Mr. Depp that quoted from Ms. Heard's op-ed?
No, my assignment was to determine if the Waldman statements were part of the tweets that Mr. Schnell provided. I was rebutting him.
And in your analysis of when you testified before, you never looked to see if the op-ed was quoted anywhere, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
Another sidebar. They're going up now going,
Questions withdrawn. Next question.
oh, that was quick.
Now, you have no objection to Ms. Arnold's use of comparables, correct?
Anna de Armas is only known for being one of the
the
007
use of
girls, and I think she was the
comparables in
AI in Blade Runner 2049.
I
And she's like more popular
listened
than
to her
us.
testimony, and my
That's
understanding that
hilarious.
she abandoned
Bye, Bonnie.
that approach. But as it relates to my testimony today,
Oh my God, you're going to see Top Gun. I'm going
my
to see that
opinion was related to those specific
in a
alleged
few days. I
comparable
can't
actors, that they were not
wait.
comparable.
You're not offering an opinion as to who the appropriate comparables
Today's only day it's shown
should
English
be
in my
Ms. Heard,
town.
correct?
Correct.
What's the language of your town, Bonnie?
And
I generally prefer English versions over translations.
you
Yeah, fair enough.
testified just before about
Sloan,
the few
Sloan's
scores
on.
of Ms. Heard and the comparables. That was Plaintiff's Exhibit 1296, correct?
I love the way they say things like, that's Exhibit 1296,
I don't
correct?
know what,
I'm like, I don't fucking know.
1296 means.
Okay. The demonstrative in front of you.
Mine? Yes, that's correct.
And you said that those were all for the winter of 2019?
I said Ms. Heard's were from the winter of 2019.
Because isn't it true that none of the rest of these people were from the winter of 2019, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. In fact, Mr. Momoa's was from the summer
Of 69.
2020?
That's correct.
The
Not
summer's
all
69.
alleged comparable actors had Q scores for that date. What was important for me is to get Ms. Heard's Q scores right after Aquaman, but before the Waldman statements.
So you weren't comparing apples to apples, correct?
I wouldn't say that. I'm saying that it's not the exact same years.
Well, so in the winter of 2019, that
If
Q
anything,
score
they'd
comes
be more-
out, that the field
more
field work dates for that is
popular
from January 22nd,
if he did the same year.
2019 to February 7th, 2019, correct?
That is correct.
So that would be so the field work would be starting almost immediately after Aquaman just came out, correct?
Yeah, in her Star is Born moment, yes.
You'd agree that for the winter of 2020, where you took Jason Momoa's Q score, would have more time to account for the rise in popularity of the film Aquaman, correct?
Well, actually, if I use Miss Arnold's suggestion, these celebrities tend to have, the celebrity moment right after they have their breakout film. So I disagree with that. I think maybe his Q scores could be lower as it relates to when I use them.
You'd agree that for the winter of 2020, Mr. Momoa's Q score would have more time to account for the rise in popularity of the film Aquaman?
No.
I don't know if it accounts for the rise of popularity. Again, using Miss Arnold's words, usually a Q score will be the
I would have just been like,
highest
I've actually
right
already
after
answered
the
that question.
film, like I did measure Miss Heard.
Exactly. Jason's Q score would have been way higher after Game of Thrones. Like, so if he'd done it a couple of years beforehand, there's every chance.
Thank you.
He bodied her even further. But also, he's going, you've taken his Q scores a year later. Like, and he's also mentioned COVID, so actually they could have been lower. But also, he's saying, like, what is your excuse for the fact that she only has 3 million Instagram followers and he has 38 million?
Of your deposition transcript, you see that?
I don't see pages that.
1 year, that big of a difference? Or,
See page 177. Four
oh,
pages,
excuse me.
4 pages per.
Sorry.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And I asked you at lines 6 through 10, you'd agree that for the winter of 2020, Jason Momoa's Q score would have more time to account for the rise of popularity in the film Aquaman.
Why is he
And
asking
you
the same
answered
fucking
yes.
question again?
At that time, as I am a rebuttal expert to Ms. Arnold, based on her testimony, I've learned something new from her.
Oh, that's a
You
good
didn't-
answer.
And you didn't look at Miss Heard's Q score for summer of 2020, correct?
She doesn't have any.
And Miss de Armas had a lower familiarity score than Miss Heard, correct?
If I don't have that in front of me, but if you're saying that, yes.
Okay. And Miss
Don't
de Armas
just
was
agree, he's
her
just fucking
trajectory has
mischaracterizing
gone
shit.
up since the summer of 2020, correct?
I don't know. I didn't analyze her career trajectory.
Okay. Could you put up plaintiff's trial exhibit 1297? That was the demonstrative. Miss de Armas has less Instagram followers than Miss Heard, correct?
Correct.
And Miss Heard has more than double the Instagram followers of Miss de Armas, correct?
Yes.
I love how they're picking the least
And
famous
isn't it
person
true
in
that
that.
you get more social
list.
media followers the longer you're on social media?
Not necessarily. It doesn't work that way. It depends on many other factors.
So Miss de Armas had a lower familiarity score and less Instagram followers, yet your testimony is that she would not be a proper comparable to Miss Heard?
That's correct.
And you're not offering a different set of people who should be comparables, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. You can take that down. Now, you understand that Mr. Waldman has been banned from Twitter for life for harassing Amber Heard, correct?
I don't know that, but if that's the case,
And you understand that Mr. Waldman appealed the decision to Twitter and they have confirmed his ban for life?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach on this one?
Okay, sure.
That's nuts if he got banned from Twitter. He must have said some shit, because, like, it's real hard to get banned from Twitter for saying shit. Isn't it?
you agree that in looking at Mr. Schnell's data, 65% of the uses of negative hashtags relating to Ms. Heard occurred between April 1st, 2020 and June 15th, 2021, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you would agree that 5 of the 6 highest spikes of the negative hashtags were after the DEPP Waldman statements, correct?
Correct.
And where you talked about the
But they're
February
unrelated, he said.
2020 spike, and the 65%, by the way, even includes the February 2020 spike of tweets, correct?
That's correct. Well, there was no spike in Feb 2020 during the Waldman statements.
Well, the spike in February 2020 was before the Waldman statements, right?
I would have you. Can we pull up the chart again if you want to talk about the spikes?
Sure. Can you put up 1294? Number one.
Number one.
Oh, my ears
that's
nearly
what
blew
spiked
clean off.
before the Waldman statements.
Okay. And there was hardly any activity in negative hashtags until February 2020, correct?
That's correct.
And you understand that the spike in February 2020 was related to the partial tape that Mr. Waldman and Mr. Depp leaked to the Daily Mail, right?
No. Oh my God, objection.
I'm aware that the articles were related to Heard admitting to hitting Depp.
And you understand that Mr. Waldman testified that Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman met with the Daily Mail in person to provide the partial tape to the Daily Mail.
Objection, Your Honor.
He talked about what the number one related to.
What's the objection?
Sorry, lack of foundation and
I'm asking if he knows or he doesn't.
All right, we'll rule.
So what's important to me is the fact that this spike is prior to the Waldman statements.
Do you know if Mr. Waldman testified that Mr. Depp and he met with the Daily Mail in person to provide the partial tape?
No.
In February of 2020. You don't know one way or the
It's
other.
irrelevant to my opinion.
Okay. And the spike in July of 2020
Millie,
came
stop barking,
right
please.
after the last defamatory statement by Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman, correct?
The July spike, which is number 2, is not related to the Waldman statements.
I haven't caught up
and
with chat, sorry.
There are articles related to abuse between Heard and Depp and feces found in
How are the
Depp's-
apple
And that's
drops
based on Google
holding
searches
up?
you did?
That's correct.
Okay. And the July spike in time came after
Although,
the June 27th,
for my birthday, Alex got me a new
2020
set, so
defamatory statement by Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman,
I have a
correct?
full other one after this.
That's correct.
Okay. And 5
Wife
spikes
and I
came
haven't watched
after
1 second of this trial.
defamatory statements,
We've liked
correct?
both people in various
After
projects.
the Waldman statements, yes.
Okay. Now, you testified before
Jennifer Aniston
that
broke
you
Instagram in a day,
eliminated
which throws out his whole
shares
longer you're
and
on, more
likes
followers.
of the
Yeah,
Depp
true.
Waldman statements from your analysis, right?
Thank you for gifting subs, Greg.
Repeat that, please.
Did you say that you eliminated shares and likes
What'd you say sorry for?
of tweets that included
lawyer
the
about
Depp
to
Waldman
cry.
statements?
That's correct. When I was doing my analysis, I noticed the exact same text was a part of many of these tweets.
Don't shares and likes disseminate the negative information?
That's quite possible.
I mean, shares do. Likes
And
do on Facebook. Who uses Facebook anymore?
Agree, right, that use of the
I said sorry
term
because I think the new sub noise blew your ears off.
Waldmanian occurred
No, it
over
didn't. I didn't even
25% of
hear
the
it,
time in the
actually.
negative tweets
But thank you
toward
for
Ms.
gifting
Heard
a
from
sub.
April 2020 through January 2021, correct?
Although it's irrelevant to this case.
Was it really
there's
loud on your
nothing
end or
to do with
something?
Waldman statements. That's
It
what
was
Mr.
fine on
Schnell
mine.
says.
You don't disagree with the search results, correct?
Although has nothing to do with this case or the Waldman statements, I do not disagree.
So if people are tweeting about Adam Waldman or Waldmanian at the same time as tweeting negative hashtags about Amber Heard, it's your testimony that they have nothing to do with this case?
The hashtags have nothing to do with this case.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And even if they include the negative hashtags with Mr. Waldman's name and Waldmanian, you're saying they have nothing to do with the defamatory statements?
All 4 hashtags that Snell used had nothing to do with the Waldman statements.
Yeah.
Waldman himself has nothing to do with the Waldman statements. We're talking about the Waldman statements here. Waldmanian I don't even know what that is, but again, it has nothing to do with this case, and it's not related to the Waldman statements. That's what's important.
And the reason you're saying they're not related to the Waldman statements is because someone didn't literally copy what Adam Waldman said in the Daily Mail and tweet it out?
Well, I looked at enough tweets that included the name Waldman that have nothing to do with anything negative or the Waldman statements.
No, they must have,
I mean,
have had to have the negative hashtags toward Ms. Heard, because the only way that those would have been in the data you looked at would have had the negative hashtags towards Ms. Heard. He wasn't looking. It was looking at that universe, correct?
Well, first of all, I don't agree that justice for Johnny Depp is a negative hashtag.
Oh, here we go.
Amber Heard. So, listen, the assignment was to determine if the tweets that Mr. Schnell presented were related or included the Waldman statements.
In your review of the tweets related to Ms. Heard, you cannot point to any that were positive toward Ms. Heard, correct?
Again, I was not looking for that.
And you did not review the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp during the time frame from April 1st, 2020 to January 1st, 2020 to see if there were any that were not negative toward Ms. Heard.
That wasn't.
I did not.
That wasn't what
look
he was
into
fucking
anything
tasked
that
with.
relates
Said that a million times.
Anything other than what relates to the Waldman statements. That's what's at issue here.
And you
That
didn't
was
do
specific.
something that was outside of
And
the
you didn't
assignment that you were
perform any
given.
statistical analysis
No,
about
I
the Waldman statements'
didn't.
impact
Because
on
I don't work for
hashtags, correct?
free.
Correct.
You did not analyze whether media and press coverage other than the Waldman statements affected Ms. Heard's career, correct?
No, because he wasn't fucking
Correct.
asked to.
Looking at the exhibit that's in front of you, where you have the numbers here, those you said are related to Google searches?
The 1 through 6?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And can we put up plaintiffs 888? And we could just start at 1. Do you understand that your...
Excuse me.
Oh, thanks. And 888, it's page 76. These are the documents you relied upon for your opinion today?
Yes.
And are these the search, where it has the different letters, these are the searches that you ran for the various time frames and the articles that came up for numbers 1 through 6, correct?
No. I mean, obviously, document 1A is the Heard supplemental expert witness disclosure. These are documents that I used throughout the time I've been working on this project. So these aren't related to those 1 through 6 numbers.
Okay. These are documents you relied upon for your opinion today?
These are documents that I relied upon when I presented my designation.
For your opinion today, that you're offering today?
No.
Yeah, these are the documents that, yes, I've relied on throughout this case.
Okay. And actually, Michelle, could you turn in this designation to...
I love how he's like, these are the documents I've been using the whole time. And now he's like, and now I have an issue with it. It's like, would you not have had an issue with it the first time around? Like, did you just not do your homework? And now you're like, oh shit, sorry, I should have asked you this the first time.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh God, he can't even find it. Stop it. This is eating into your 4 hours, mate.
Can you just scroll down?
Sorry, oh my God, I can't find it.
Yeah, keep scrolling.
Bye, Pinocchio. Enjoy work. God, everyone's on such different time zones.
Okay, stop. This was the chart you provided with your designation for your opinions in this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's similar to the chart that we had before with the 1 through 6, correct?
That's correct.
And where it has the various boxes, it's talking about documents 6E through 6H, for instance, related to Depp wanting to have Heard replaced on Aquaman.
Yes.
And you prepared this chart, correct?
Yeah, this was part of my designation.
I'd like to have this page as a demonstrative.
Your Honor, I do have an objection, if I might be heard.
All right, if you want to come forward, page 99.
Right, we're out of audio because they're having another little tete-a-tete up at the top. Claire has her business face on while typing. Yeah, I do. Thanks for calling it a business face and not a bitch face. Because that's normally what people call my quote-unquote business face. God damn it. There we go. Oh, the emoji does not show. Okay, I'll have to take it out. So nothing is really happening here at the moment. Sorry, I'm just moving around these things. They will not go. I'm like so anal about this kind of stuff. Like, it needs to be in the same as, they need to be aligned. Driving me mad. Okay. Oh. Oh, it like came back and then went off again.
Mr.
Are
Banya.
those even now? God, he is really taking his time with this one.
Other than
My God.
so as I understand it, the way you determined that the tweets were not related to the Waldman statements was that you looked at time and then you ran certain Google searches, correct?
Correct.
And then the top 3 hits came up.
Correct.
And then you looked through the article to see if the Waldman statements were there?
So as it relates to any trending event, any defamation that's happened online, any allegations of economic loss because something went viral, going to Google, looking at the spikes in time and going back in time to see what was happening on those top 3 sites will give you an indication of the best results that were being served at that time. So something viral that's happening would appear most likely in those top 3 results.
And just so the record's clear, if we could go back to page 76 of this document. Numbers 6A through 6N, going to the next page, those are the headlines of the searches that you found?
Correct.
And you don't disagree that that negative tweets toward Ms. Heard have continued throughout the analysis of the tweets, correct?
I'm not looking at whether they're negative tweets or those hashtags are negative. I'm determining if those tweets are related to the Waldman statements.
Well, okay, and you have no opinion whether the tweets were positive or negative towards Ms. Heard. That's what you're saying?
Yes, I'm just analyzing whether or not they're related to the Waldman statements.
Okay, Thank you, nothing further.
Interesting.
I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Banya.
Thank you.
It's really annoying that I can't get that right. Oh, God damn it. Anyway, whatever. We're taking another break.
Do not discuss the case and don't do any outside
The
research. Sorry,
fuck?
We'll just take a short break.
What? My God, come on, guys. Although, actually, it has been 45 minutes. Wow, it hasn't felt like 45 minutes. I'll give you that. Okay, mute this bad boy for a few minutes and let's talk. What am I trying to do? I'm just trying to get these fucking alert things looking even.
We're on this
Hang on.
page. You can have a seat. Keep standing the whole time. All right, just so we're on the same page with Mr. Knight's testimony. Actually, could Mr. Knight go back out, please?
Could Mr. Knight get the fuck out?
All right, so we're on the same page with Mr. Knight's testimony. There is a rule on witnesses, however, Mr. Knight's a rebuttal witness. The purpose of excluding witnesses from the courtroom, usually it's a courtroom, is to deprive a later witness of the opportunity to shape testimony to correspond with that of an earlier witness. The issue we have here, obviously, if it was a direct witness in the direct testimony, you had time to do a rule on witnesses, let them know about the rule on witnesses. With a rebuttal witness, it's a little different because they didn't know they were going to be a witness. You didn't know they were going to be a witness. I understand that part. The problem is the courtroom in this particular case appears to be the world. So what we have to do here is I'm going to do a voir dire, and I'll allow both sides to ask questions as well of Mr. Knight to see what he has seen of the case. And I'm just going to use the factors that the case law in Virginia uses, which the factors to consider, because the court does have broad discretion to permit or prohibit a witness to testify in this particular circumstance. So the factors I'm going to consider is if the impropriety was intentional, which we'll find out, the prejudice attached to it, also if the excluded witness learned about substantive aspects of the case from an earlier testifying witness, and whether that knowledge had any effect on his or her testimony. So those are the three factors I'm going to look at in weighing this decision. So keep that in mind when you do your voir dire.
I'm a bit
And
lost.
it's my understanding that the evidence that Mr. Knight will testify only relates to Hicksville. Is that correct? Okay. All right, now we can have Mr. Knight.
So they didn't take a break. I could have sworn she said, let's take a break. I think the jury took a
Sir,
break.
Mr. Knight, if you could come forward
But why?
to be sworn.
Oh, I see. So the jury is gone. And now what they're going to do is question this particular witness to decide whether or not he's going to be allowed in front of the jury.
Sir, if you just have a
So now what I can't understand is he's a rebuttal witness. I guess I don't really understand why it was ruled out in the
Sir,
first place.
What we're doing is I'm just going to ask you a few questions.
But I
outside
take
the
it that
presence of the
somebody
jury, and
mentioned
the attorneys
him.
are going to ask you a few questions, okay? Then I'm going to have you step back
And
outside.
brought
after
him
that,
in.
Okay?
No problem.
All right, what's your full name, sir?
Morgan Higby Knight,
Okay, you don't have to be that.
Okay, you don't have to
All
eat
right.
the fucking
All
microphone.
right, how do you spell your last name?
N-I-G-H-T.
Okay. All right, and sir, before I can allow you to testify, I just want to ask you a few questions. Have you seen any of the trial that's been going on for the past 6 weeks?
Approximately 5 weeks ago, a friend of mine texted me that Hicksville was mentioned, and I watched a little clip where
Okay.
it was mentioned.
Which clip did you watch?
I believe it was somebody testifying about, I think it was a security guard testifying maybe about Hicksville, or I forget exactly who was testifying, but it was something where Hicksville was mentioned, and it
Hicksville.
was about something about a wrist or something like that.
All right, and what did you do after that? At some point, did you get in contact with attorneys?
So I didn't reach out to them. I didn't really care.
Okay.
The innkeepers that worked at Hicksville before reached out to them and said, we saw some stuff that wasn't true, and then they asked, is it okay if I give the attorneys your phone number? So the attorneys reached out to me
Okay, and when did the attorneys reach out to you?
May 3rd.
May 3rd. And you talked to the attorneys at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Camille, but Geraldine.
Okay, and then...
Not
have
Camille,
you
why is
seen
that
the
relevant?
Parts of the trial?
No, she instructed me not to watch anything about it, regardless of if it was about Hicksville or not. So I've been
Since May
keeping
3rd.
off the internet and turning off anything that seems to be like it's on social media. So I just don't watch any of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Alright.
don't think he's dodgy.
And questions, Ms. Breder?
Watch Elaine now,
Mr.
absolutely.
Knight, you were contacted by an attorney for
Failed.
Mr. Depp on May 3rd.
Yes,
May 3rd.
You said it was Carolyn?
Geraldine.
Geraldine. Oh, Yerlin, I got it. Okay.
Oh.
I
What,
think it's pronounced Geraldine.
okay, can you tell us the conversation you had with her at that time?
It's
Yeah,
pronounced
she just
Geraldine.
asked me my recollection of the evening, and I told her, and she said, okay, would you mind testifying? And I said, sure. And she said, okay, well then, we're not sure if we're going to call you or not, but just in case, please don't watch anything having to do with the case. And I said, I will do.
Now, how is it that, to your best knowledge, how is it that Geraldine was able to get hold of you? How did she know that you knew something?
So,
Like,
like I said, two of my
he just fucking
innkeepers,
explained
my
that.
innkeeper, my manager, had reached out to her team, I think through email, and one of them texted me and said, hey, do you mind if we give Geraldine your phone number?
Now, you also communicated on Twitter, did you not, about this case?
No.
Yeah, 2 weeks prior to Geraldine reaching out to me, someone had made a comment about something that happened by the fire pit, and I said, that's not my recollection. I didn't see, that's not what I saw.
So who was it
Balls.
that made a comment about something that happened at the fire pit?
So once I was told about the fact that Hicksville was mentioned, I went and did a Twitter search of Hicksville trailer. So it was, I don't know who it was, but I was just like, what are they saying about Hicksville? And so that was.
I love that this guy is like,
why I
don't
did
you talk
search.
shit.
It was weird and fascinating because the night to me wasn't that remarkable in the context of all the different experiences I've had at the Trailer Palace.
So explain to me, please, what you mean by you did a trailer search.
So if you go to Twitter, and
It wasn't
you
a
put in
trailer search,
keywords
it was a
and do
search
all
for the word trailer.
Tweets regarding that subject come up. or
So I'm
anything
taking
with
it that this
those
is
keywords
the
in it.
thing
So
about the trailer
that
in
is
when
how
they went
I
camping and
found
Johnny
the tweet that I
trashed the
replied
trailer.
to.
Okay. And how many tweets did you find that mentioned Hicksville when you did that trailer search?
Probably like 5 or 6. I only replied to one of them.
Okay. And what do you recall those tweets saying about Hicksville?
The one that I replied to said that there was some incident by the fire pit, and Johnny was yelling at Amber, and I replied that I didn't see that. I was there all night, and I was working that night, so I didn't see anything like that.
Valerie, I actually don't know which side he's testifying
so your
for.
best recollection on that one
be
was
honest.
that somebody said somebody
assume it was Johnny
testifying
Depp.
that Johnny was yelling at Amber?
Yeah, and I believe grabbed her or something along those lines.
Do you recall who said Johnny was yelling at Amber and grabbed her?
I have no idea. It was a stranger, so I didn't really pay attention to who was writing it.
All right. and you
I
said
feel
that
like
you
old people take Twitter
responded
so
to it.
serious.
How
She's
did
like,
you
you responded
I
to
said
someone on
that's
Twitter?
Not what happened. I was there all
like,
night.
Who was that? How do you know them? And he's like, I don't. It's a fucking randomer on Twitter. I tweeted it. I'm like, I don't know what, but
Did you say anything about what you thought happened?
I just said that didn't happen. I didn't say what. I believe I said maybe something along the lines of, from what I saw, Amber was the one acting jealous, not Johnny.
And you said this to one of the tweets.
Yes.
Do you recall whether that was the Umbrella Man?
I don't recall.
Like,
It's
is
ridiculous.
that
So
ridiculous?
tell me about the other.
Tell me about the umbrella man.
tweets that you
How many
had
umbrellas does he have?
in the trailer search.
I think they were similar in nature, but I don't specifically remember the details of them. That was pretty much the only one I remembered, and that's the only one I replied to.
God, I need to go toilet again. What is wrong with
Do
me?
you remember anything about the other 5 and what?
What's there a turd in the umbrella? She sounds like my
You
mother
said
trying to talk
someone
about
told you
it.
about a security guard. What was your understanding of what the security?
Wouldn't they have
guard
copies of his
said?
tweet? Yeah, they should have, really. But
I got a text
Although-
that somebody in
yeah.
the trial had said that they
he
were
has
talking
repeated
about
himself so
Trailer
fucking
Palace
many times. This
during
is
the
so
trial.
annoying.
And so that's what led me to go on Twitter and do a search.
And did you have any communications with the 2 innkeepers about what you knew or what you thought?
No, I hadn't talked to them in years, and
So-
still haven't regarding the case.
So how
Oh,
is it that
eat
the
it.
innkeepers then contacted you and said, do you mind if we give you the telephone number to the attorneys? Because
They still have me in their phone, and Christy, who was the manager at the time, is the one that texted me and said, hey, do you mind if we pass this along? Mr. Depp's attorneys want to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. No wonder Amber Heard's team has a fraction of the
Do you
time
mind
left
if we
because they're
pass
just
what along?
repeating fucking
Your phone
your phone number. Oh my god, this type of question is so
What
annoying.
you had with the innkeepers that even led them to understand that you believed you had knowledge about the Hicksville incident.
There was no conversation.
There was no
They knew
conversation.
because they were both
'Cause-
working that same night.
And so were you.
Jenna was the innkeeper, and she was there along with me that night. Christy was the one. who
Hydrate,
texted
thank
me,
you,
and she had
Celine.
come in the following morning for her shift, and I slept over. I was live-in innkeeper that night.
So.
Yeah, I
trying to
absolutely need to make a
understand,
pint of wine
Just based on
right
the
now.
fact that 7 years ago, they happened
fucking
to know
annoying.
that you were working that night.
9 years ago, and it's because I was there
Okay.
with them.
My math, well, it's 2022 right now, and that was, what year? Oh, that was
2013.
2013, you're right, okay.
Oh, eat it,
How
Elaine.
is it that-
Eat it, Elaine, trying to correct his
9
fucking
years
maths.
ago, that you worked there that night and that you might have some knowledge?
I mean, to be honest, like, we do get celebrities sometimes, but it was,
Ew.
it's not that unmemorable. It's not like it's any other night of the week. So I'm sure they remembered the specifics of that night.
Had Mr. Depp's attorneys ever attempted to contact you before?
No.
No, because they didn't have
Had
his
you ever
fucking
attempted to
number,
contact
Elaine.
Mr. Depp's attorneys before?
No, I had no interest.
All right. Have you had any conversations with Mr. Depp's attorneys?
I kind of
other
love
than
that he's
the one
like,
you
oh, I'm gonna
described
fuck about
with
this.
Sarah?
Since?
Yes.
Well, I met with Camille last night.
I feel like it's helping his
What
case
did
because
you-
he's
what
like, I'm
was
not
that
biased because I couldn't give a
conversation?
fuck.
Please describe.
I just went through, the story again that I had told Geraldine.
And let's hear what that story was.
Really?
You want me to go through
Yes.
the whole story?
Your Honor, we would object to attorney work product.
There's no attorney work product.
All right.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have to give the story now because you're going to hear the story and then decide whether or not to rule him out. Like,
That I described, like, them getting to the trailer palace, the
trailer palace. Oh my god.
me showing them around, the interactions I had when I was on duty with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard, how the evening progressed throughout the night, the levels of drinking and drug use that I witnessed, what the state of the damaged trailer the next morning, and basically just, the details that I had only, spent total 45 minutes to an hour with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard throughout the entire course of the night. So it was my recollection of those events during that time.
And what did Ms. Vasquez say to you?
Your Honor, this is beyond, we object on the grounds that it's beyond the scope of the voir dire,
No,
which is
I think
limited to the
whatever
three
she said
criteria.
to him
But
is
may I
very
please finish
critical.
stating my objection, Your Honor?
Go ahead, yes, sir.
The objection is that it's beyond the scope of the voir dire. Your Honor enumerated the three criteria which are relevant here. And this is a rebuttal witness, so
Your Honor, whatever Ms. Vasquez shared with him is going to be very important here because they knew by this time he was going to be a witness. So.
Well, that was last night, so how
Right.
does that fit into one of the three factors of deciding whether or not he's going to testify?
Well, one of the three factors, Your Honor, may I approach so that the witness doesn't hear?
Okay, that's fine.
Elaine is like, no, because what I'm trying to imply is that Camille coached him last night. But like, lawyers are allowed to talk to their fucking witnesses, are they not? Says I, the legal expert. Oh, right. I'm going to take this sidebar moment to go to the toilet. Back in 2 minutes.
Mr. Knight, did
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez provide you with any information that anyone had testified to or said at any point?
No, she didn't talk about anything except for asking me my experience and just getting a clear understanding of what my experience was. She didn't mention anything outside of the scope of what I saw and just asked me for the facts and told me just tell the truth and let me know, you know.
Do you know what any of the witnesses said in this trial?
About, I mean, outside of what I described earlier with the, a friend of mine texting that someone was talking about Trailer Palace, I do not.
Do you know whether any of the witnesses testified about any jealousy?
Other than the tweet that I replied to, no.
All right. Thank you. Your Honor, may we approach?
All right, well, do you have any questions? All right, sir, if you could have a seat back outside the courtroom.
Sure.
Thank you.
I leave my water.
Yes, you can leave your water.
What? So it is water, but it's pink. Weird. And also, why does he want to leave it? Why don't you just, like, take it with you in case you don't get back in? I personally don't see an issue with this guy, but then again, I'm totally biased. So, that means a jack shit. Stone cold Camille. Emma is pot calling the kettle black. Lots of hints that she's coached Amber and was even nodding during witness testimony, so she's saying the right thing. Yeah, you're probably allowed to do that to your witnesses. Danielle, what is happening? I left for 2 seconds. They have finished interrogating the rebuttal witness about how much he knows about the trial. Elaine implied that Camille was coaching him and telling him what to say, or like telling him about the trial. And now he's been asked to step outside the room so they can argue whether or not he's allowed to testify. It's probably one of those things you put in drinks to give it flavour. Oh, yeah. Probably. Cocaine. Yeah, sure, there's probably cocaine in it, Ted. Wow, that was an image. Johnny and Amber by themselves. Greg redeemed hydrate. I'm going to have to hire up hydrate because I keep needing to pee. Although it's good that you remind me to hydrate because I just don't remember otherwise. This is a bottle that I bought on Amazon. Look, I'm only at 11 a.m. And it is 8 p.m. So I'm just not good at drinking water. Like, it's not my thing. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses, you know what I'm saying? Do. I had Tipp-X'd out basically the whole page in my diary so I could redo it. and it looks better now, but it still looks like shit because the whole page is Tipex. I have 15,000 Clizzer books. Nice. Definitely gonna have to up the hydrate for that. Pillage the village. Oh, I wouldn't have a clue how to say that in Irish. I'd have to find out what the word pillage is. So what's pillage? Let's go to folklore.ie. Oh, plunder. There's no pillage. Pillage. Oh, there is a pillage. Creoch. How do you use that?
Crach.
Oh, crach. So, crach. Crach. Crach on Shrodwalla?
Sráidbhaile.
Crack on Shrodwalla? Question mark. You've accrued 3,000 Clizzer books. Oh my god. Swing my sword. And yet another one that I don't know. I'm at 23k Claire Cash. Oh, Claire Cash would have been a better name for it. I think I'll rename the channel points Claire Cash instead of Clizzer books. I think that's funnier. Claire Cash. I like that. Oh my god! Sorry, I got really excited because I was like, somebody's painting in the courtroom. I was like, this woman's painting. She's probably the court artist. Oh, look at her giving out to him. Oh, look at Amber giving out to him. You need to fucking get your shit together, is what she's saying to him. Look, see that fucking witness? You need to fuck you. I'm gonna.
All right.
Oh, there, it's frozen. Oh, she's frozen. She is frozen. Okay, so how do I fix this now? Let me refresh this page. Oh, it's frozen for everybody in chat. It's not just me. I read that, or I might have actually been watching a YouTube video, but I saw somewhere that the reason they have this trial in Virginia is that the Washington Post have their servers in Virginia. But the reason that Johnny Depp's lawyers wanted it in Virginia was obviously so it'd be live streamed, because Virginia live streams this stuff. I'd say they are like, we have just never had so much interest in a civil case ever. Oh. I've renamed.
Matters we have to take up outside your presence, okay? All right, thank you. All right, your next witness.
Wait, what?
All right.
Was he allowed?
Tonight, if you could come forward to be sworn.
Claire, where'd you get the apple drops, or where did Alex get them? I don't know where Greg got them. Greg sent me these. So maybe Greg can put it in the chat. I think Alex normally gets them. I actually don't know where Alex gets them either. It's freezing. It's freezing loads. It's really annoying. Yeah, it's frozen for the chat as well. How do streamers with like massive audiences keep up with a chat that's going this quick?
Palace. So there's also different kind of amenities. There's a pool in Joshua Tree. There's a rec room up at.
He was allowed in.
When did you first become the owner of the Trailer Palace?
Trailer Palace, I started building it in 2009. It took about a year with
He built
my
it.
collaborator, Stephen Butcher, and on the trailers. And we got done and opened.
Welcome, Heart of
in
Glass.
2010.
We are well.
There come a time that you sold
Alex is
the Hicksville
not
Trailer
interested.
Palace?
Yeah, I did
In
at the
this
beginning of
trial. I am,
2020, I had some health issues and just it was too much to run both at the same time. So I chose Idlewild because it was newer and shinier.
And
I like this guy.
for my sake, how long did you own the Trailer Palace?
So 10 years of us being open.
Thank you for
11 years
thank you for
total.
gifting, Greg, and thank you
And
for
what was
subscribing,
the
Heart of Glass.
Hicksville Trailer Palace?
So it started out as a artist retreat. I was a filmmaker at the time and wanted a place to get away and work on film projects outside of Los Angeles. I also
Worth the trip
put
on
in a recording
Airbnb
studio,
to
so
Trailer Palace. Me
musicians could
me
record
googling
records
Trailer
there.
Palace.
I had lived in New Orleans for 5 years, and there was an amazing recording studio there called Kingsway, where all the musicians would come and they'd live in this big mansion and record their records. And I just thought that was a really neat thing for artists to be able to get away and create create whatever they were working on. Over the course of the build out of all the trailers, themed trailers, which I'm a huge fan of this hotel called Madonna Inn. And so I wanted to do really detailed themed trailers. It became too expensive to just make a living off of an artist retreat. So I decided before I was done to make it a hotel as well.
And what were your job responsibilities, generally speaking, when you owned the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
Glad you got that bought
So
off your
I
YouTube.
would,
Oh, Jen,
live-in manager
that was
some
nuts, but that's why I had to reach out and tell you.
A
Yeah,
couple nights a week. I would also drive out from Los Angeles twice a week.
I don't know how
bring
bigger
supplies.
YouTubers deal with that all
Get
the
out
time.
In the Yucca Valley area and Joshua Tree, there's just a lot of things like, Smart and Final.
I'm gonna try and get
stuff, so I would try to
Patreon
get stuff
bloopers up
out.
after this
There's also
or
no,
tomorrow.
USPS, so sometimes I'd have to get things shipped
For anyone
to my
who
house
is
and
also
bring them out
a
as well.
Patreon patron.
I would also just do constantly building and creating new stuff at Trailer Palace, whether it's new trailers or amenities. So I would be working on that stuff as well. I'm a big fan of the fact that Disneyland is always making it better and better.
And when you were the live-in manager, does that mean that you spent the night at the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
Yeah, we have a house on site where the recording studio was, and there's a bedroom in there. So whoever is
Mark,
live-in
that came
manager
up as 3
those
stars.
nights, stays in the
Kate
house
Moss is
and
allegedly
basically
going to
with the
testify
kitchen and
tomorrow,
everything.
and Alex even said that to me tonight
you
at
ever
dinner
met
out of
the
nowhere.
plaintiff in this
It's like,
case,
here,
Mr.
Kate
Depp?
Moss is going to testify. I was like,
I had
sorry.
met him really briefly at the Viper Room in the late 90s. I had worked with some of the people that performed there and was good friends with this girl Robin from the Pussycat Dolls and some other friends. Miss
That's a
Van
throwback.
Foster. So I was there and I met him once.
How about Miss Heard? Ever met her?
I had never met her before. They were guests at the hotel.
When was the first time that you met Mr. Depp and Miss Heard together?
In late May 2013, when they were guests, Mr. Depp's assistant Nathan had rented out the entire place so they could have a night there in privacy.
Let's hope that she
What do you
hasn't been
recall
watching the
of anything
trial.
about Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's arrival to the Hicksville Trailer Palace?
I just want to get
Mr. Depp
something
got
out of my
lost.
brand new
So,
turn up thingamajig.
his security guard, who arrived early, asked me if I could go fetch them because he had an old car that didn't really fare on the dirt roads out there, which are pretty horrible. So I went out and made sure that they got themselves and the car back to Hicksville safely.
Do you remember approximately at what time that was?
It was 3 to 4 in the afternoon.
What was Mr. Depp's demeanor when they first arrived?
At Trailer Palace, he was super excited about the place, really complimentary, just had a lot of questions, and just seemed like he was in a really great mood.
And how about Miss Heard's demeanor? Did things stick out?
She was a total
quiet.
bitch.
She just kind of didn't say that much when I was giving them the tour of the grounds and the trailer.
And was anyone else with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard when they first arrived?
There was people that were arriving throughout the afternoon, so there was, I think 10 to 12 people total ended up staying. The security guard had gotten there earlier and just to check out the place, but yeah.
And did I understand your testimony previously that the entire trailer park was rented out by Mr. Depp and Miss Heard?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking they'd hardly.
Time about 25 people, but there was only 10 to 12 in this party.
And who was part of that party besides Mr. Depp and Miss Heard?
Like, how the fuck would he know?
I'm really horrible with names, but I remember one of them was Miss Heard's sister and the security guard I mentioned before, but I honestly forgot his name too.
Thank you for subscribing.
What happened when Mr. Depp and Miss Heard first came
Oh,
onto
that's
the property?
on YouTube.
So I gave them a tour of, we give all guests a tour of their specific trailer and the grounds, and show them around the, when someone rents the whole place, they get another trailer called the bar trailer, which is basically a place to set up their alcohol and stuff, and some people in the group were just putting their beverages in that area.
And where were you when Mr. Depp and Miss Heard, did there come a time when Mr. Depp and Miss Heard went to the bar trailer?
I didn't notice most of the time that my interactions with them, everything's kind of centrally located, so there's a fire pit, bar trailer, and picnic tables all right in the same area, so they were generally around that area the entire evening that I saw them.
And what did you observe of Mr. Depp and Miss Heard as the evening progressed?
So Mr. Depp was just super curious and really nice. He was also really interested in my innkeeper because she was a musician, so they would talk about music a lot. At one point, the innkeeper who lived at the next door property went home and grabbed her guitar, and they had sung a song or two around the campfire in the early evening. There was another instance where Mr. Depp, the innkeeper, her name is Jenna, and myself were talking about books and music, and Miss Heard came over and kind of interjected. She seemed a little annoyed that Mr. Depp wasn't spending time with her.
Objection,
What about
speculation.
Miss Heard's demeanor made you think that she was annoyed?
I think just generally she
Ow.
it's hard. Like I think
Was her tone?
I don't know. It was just like a gut reaction. Like I can't describe it, but you know.
How long were you with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard that evening, generally?
So throughout the course of the evening, I was probably mostly with Mr. Depp, but 45 minutes to an hour total. So it was.
Look how human she is.
Yeah, that's over the whole course until the end of the night.
I wondered if she had the trial on her phone because she suddenly was like,
And did you have an opportunity
fix
to
my
observe
face
Mr. Depp
when the
interact
camera
with
was on her.
other people, guests on the property that evening?
Oh my god, she's also eye-fucking the
Yes,
camera.
I saw him
Like
hanging
looking
out with
straight
his
down the camera lens constantly.
at one
Stop.
point, and,
So I checked her hair as well. Stop. She must be. Can you be look?
Jenna
Are they
were
looking
sitting
at
around
the stream while this is
campfire.
happening?
He was off by himself a lot of the time, and Miss Heard was over at the campfire with her friends and seemed to have a good time.
And If you haven't already, can you generally describe
I'm in
for
love,
the
I can
jury
fix
your
her.
observations of Ms. Heard that evening?
Yeah, she was seemed to be having a really nice time with her friends around the campfire. And yeah, everyone was in a pretty good mood.
Did there come a time in the evening that you observed Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard have a disagreement or an argument?
Yes. I was speaking with Mr. Depp, just one-on-one, talking about Hicksville, and Ms. Heard came over and she said that I want to talk to you and seemed really upset about something. So I went and back in the house because it was really, they went off on their own and she started yelling at him, and I didn't want to hear it. It honestly was really triggering because I've been in an emotionally abusive relationship before.
Objections. Move to strike.
What?
The objection.
You're up, or maybe reproach.
Okay, sure.
What's the objection? We have 25 viewers now. Is there any chance that everybody could just put an emoji in the chat? Because I'm trying to get to 25 people chatting at the same time. I'd really appreciate it. Does anyone know why Twitch got rid of our friends? What do you mean? Amber streaming your Twitch. Danielle, why? Just because Twitch has like this page where it's like achievements, and the next one is to get people 25 chatting at the same time. I don't really know why, but I just really want to get to it.
So Ms. Heard asked him to go talk off to the side, and she was upset at him, and she was
So
yelling
keep the
at
emojis
him.
coming, please. Or you can use emotes because they come up on an emote wall. Do I have an
personally
emote
had
wall on this?
Objection.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Let me add the
You
emote
could just
wall.
explain to the jury
Oh,
what you observed when you saw Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard having an argument.
Okay. He was kind of cowering and seemed almost afraid, and it was really like odd to see because
there you go.
he was
The emote wall
older
is
than
there
her,
now.
obviously. So, but I just went back in the house because I didn't
Objection to what he did.
All right, I'll sustain as to.
Understood. So after you observed the argument, fair to say you went back to to your house on site?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. What happened after that?
So when I saw Mr. Depp on my next rounds, he apologized profusely and said, "I'm really sorry about that." She was upset.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
But it's about what Johnny said, no?
What, if any, type of reaction did Mr. Depp have?
He was just really...
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. He's going to say it again.
It's the reaction, it's not the statement.
All right, if you could make that clear, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Thank
Just
you
what
for
type of
gifting, Greg.
Physical reaction did Mr. Depp have after the argument between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
He honestly, throughout the rest of the night, became a lot more quiet and was just very more petulant. In the beginning of the night, he was a lot more outgoing and extroverted, and throughout, as the course of the night went on, he was less and less so and more quiet.
Did you observe any of the guests consuming alcohol while on the property?
Yes,
I
Camille, they're all
assume
adults.
They were. I mean, people had cups, and there was alcohol set up in the bar trailer, but I didn't physically see them pour alcohol into their cup and cup go into the mouth, per se.
Did you witness Mr. Depp drink any alcohol that evening?
I couldn't say.
Anything about Mr. Depp's demeanor that made you think he was perhaps intoxicated?
Yes, as the night went on, I am a former bar owner, so even though I wasn't drinking that night, I'm very familiar with the signs. So just as the night went on, like I said, he became more and more quiet, but he also, as we would have conversations, his
Be a little
head
more
would kind of
slurry.
sway a little bit back and forth, which was a little, he was much less sharp than he was earlier in the night.
Did Ms. Heard appear intoxicated?
God,
to you?
imagine, like, it'd be so embarrassing if
she
I was in
did,
court for something and they had to be like, was
she
Claire drunk? And he
seemed-
had to describe me being drunk.
think when
It would
she
actually be the most mortifying
was
time of life.
angry at
It's like,
him, it seemed
she
like
didn't shut the
she was
fuck up.
intoxicated, but that's just based on my experience.
oh, it'd
and
be
my own
so
personal
embarrassing.
trauma dealing with abuse.
Objection, Your Honor, move to strike.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. We'll strike it from the record. Please disregard that testimony.
Did you observe anyone do or take drugs?
I did not.
Did you witness Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard interact other than the argument that you previously described for the jury?
I didn't know.
At the end of the night, I heard a commotion. I was inside the house and came out. I couldn't tell what was going on. And Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were having a discussion about I'm not sure what, but then they went to their trailer. At that point, a lot of people had already gone to bed. So it just kind of petered out. Everyone went to bed, including myself, and I didn't hear anything else the rest of the night.
What time did the evening come to an end?
I'd say it was almost around 3 a.m.
Ooh.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp grab anyone?
Late night.
Objection
Leading.
Sustain.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp become physical with anyone?
Objection leading.
Sustain. Next question.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp get angry that evening?
Objection leading.
That's what he's fucking here to testify for, though.
What, if anything, happened the next morning?
The next morning, we have to check out at noon at the time, before COVID. And so around 11 o'clock, one of my innkeepers let me know that there was some damage.
Objection, hearsay.
Did something happen that caused you to go to Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's trailer?
Yes, I was informed that.
Objection, hearsay.
It's not being offered for the truth, Your Honor. I mean, may we approach on this
Okay,
one topic?
sure.
Thank you.
Vala, me describing me drunk. She's really sweet. She was talking and laughing a lot, and then all of a sudden started crying. Then she started laughing again. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think mine would be that innocent. Oh, we've seen you drunk before in your vlogs. You're adorable. Yes, Gonzo, but they're edited. So the worst of the worst footage. First of all, I don't film myself like my absolute worst because I don't know what the fuck is going on. And then I don't put in the worst.
Innkeepers
Although the
let me
one,
know that there was
the
some
one where I
damage in one of
was
the
passed out on
trailers,
the floor after a try shoot
and
was
it happened
one
to
of the
be
worst.
Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's trailer. So I wanted to inspect the trailer because I was extremely worried. All those trailers that Steve and I worked on were like my babies, and
Obviously,
the one
you
they were
own
staying
them.
in was the only one that was mostly original and restored 1950s style, and so I was very concerned.
So what did you observe when you went to the trailer?
I observed that there was a light sconce by the bathroom in the bedroom that had been broken off the wall, and a couple pieces were on the floor, and they were, and yeah, it was basically just broken. The light fixture was hanging on the wall still, and except for the pieces that were on the floor.
Did you come to understand how that happened?
Objection. Foundation and
All right,
light.
foundation. I'll sustain as to foundation. How he knew.
Did you ask how the sconce was broken?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
How often do light fixtures in the trailers break?
They break pretty often. I mean, it's not like a usual thing, but things in the trailers generally get broken because it's all vintage trailers, and I would say as much as every couple weeks there's some incident of damage in one of the trailers. In this case, Mr. Depp had told me that.
Objection,
Sustain the
hearsay.
objection.
So anyway, yes.
Beyond the light fixture, was anything else in the trailer damaged?
No, everything else looked fine. In fact, we have something we call a piggy fee that we address to guests, that if there's anything, what we call inconsiderate or unusually large messes, we charge them extra for it for a $25 an hour cleaning fee. but they did not receive one of those because everything outside of light fixture looks fine.
Oh,
And
that's
what was your reaction to seeing the
That's
damaged light
huge.
fixture?
To be honest, I was relieved because it was not a big deal. I just there was already another light in the room, so I just tucked the wires in the wall until I
Well,
had
yeah,
a few
but-
months later time to buy. It was matching.
Look at her making it
sconce
up
with
to
another
them.
one in the room. So I had to on eBay find a matching pair that would fit there, and when I finally got around to it, I was able to get that and charge it to Nathan, whose credit card I had.
And what was your understanding of who Nathan was?
Mr. Depp's
Saladin, it's Elaine.
And what did you charge?
But you're right. It seems like she's
Nathan
just
or
woke up.
Mr. Depp for replacing that pair of light fixtures?
The pair came out to $62.
While you were on site, Mr. Knight, did you ever wear a mesh shirt?
What?
No, I would absolutely never wear that.
At any time during Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's stay on the property, did you see Mr. Depp become physical with anyone?
I did
Objection
not.
leading.
That's the same. Why did you
sorry,
overrule
that
that
was-
one? I don't understand.
I never saw Mr. Depp get physical with anyone when I saw him.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Knight,
Hopefully.
you are
Hopefully
a pretty
Amber
big
will-
fan of Johnny Depp.
Amber's lawyer will say her.
I am not. To be honest, throughout the evening,
Sorry, I just asked you one question.
Oh, I
didn't ask you
apologize.
the rest of that.
I
You wanted
apologize.
to participate in this trial, didn't you?
I did not. I
You
was
knew-
asked by the attorney, and I wanted to. They asked me, and I said I'll be happy to come and tell the truth.
You knew this was on camera, that it was being broadcast to a lot of people.
That's shady
and
accusation.
you saw testimony, did you not, in this case? And you seized the moment and responded.
She's
to
accusing
the
him of being a
umbrella
clout
guy,
chaser.
the lead person for Mr. Depp's Twitters. Did you not?
Objection, Your Honor.
The lead person for Mr. Depp's Twitters is my granny.
Mr. Umbrella Guy is the lead.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Lead
You
what?
know that he leads one of the most predominant pro-Depp Twitters out there.
I have no
Based
idea.
on
I
what?
don't care.
What is that
Follow
based
the
on?
Umbrella Guy.
In fact, you do follow
They were actually laughing at him in the or her in the
Twitter
gallery.
called Johnny Depp fan, don't you?
Absolutely not.
You don't? That's your testimony under oath?
It is.
Sure, how are you supposed to remember? I follow like 2,000 people.
21st, Mr. Depp testified in this case about Hicksville, didn't he?
I wasn't here.
And in fact, you tweeted in response to the Umbrella Guy on April 21, 22, quote, "That never happened. I was with them all night. Amber was the one acting all jealous and crazy." Do you
Yes, I
recall
do.
Is she trying to lose
I
his
do
case?
recall
Why would you read that out?
What?
Bring that up, please.
Why would you read that out?
call
Like,
it
is she
defendant's
trying to lose the case?
1903?
And
He is the predominant Twitterer for Johnny Depp.
the Umbrella Guy.
He's in his he's on his payroll. Has
And the bringing in the Hicksville.
tweets all the time about Johnny Depp, about how much he loves him. Hilarious. You follow Johnny Depp fan at Johnny Depp fan. That means nothing. That means nothing. I follow someone who is a Johnny Depp fan. Like, also, how would you know who you follow? If somebody in court said to me, "Do you follow this person?" Unless it was a notable person, I'd be like, "No idea." I follow like 2,000 or 3,000 people. I don't know who I follow.
She's working on that. Did you write and direct a piece called Matters of Consequence back in 1999?
I did.
Why is this
And didn't
relevant?
Mr. Depp's first wife, Lorianne Allison, work as a makeup artist on that?
Wow.
She absolutely did.
And while we're looking at that, 4 days after you tweeted to Umbrella Man,
That was Umbrella Guy.
the Umbrella Guy.
Here's the tweet.
Well,
Thank
all right,
you,
we have
Kirks.
this up. I'm going to ask you to take a look. What is
So,
Defendant's Exhibit 1903? Do you see that?
Johnny Depp will be accused of being jealous because a woman was sitting close to Amber Heard.
That umbrella guy on 421.
This never happened. I was with them all night.
Correct.
Amber was the one acting jealous and crazy.
Incident.
This is going to be his most popular tweet ever.
I do.
And there's clearly Mr. Depp testifying there, likely a video.
I don't know what he's
right?
looking at.
Okay.
And you respond, that never happened. I was with them all night. Amber was the
One
one
acting all jealous and crazy. Yeah, keep reading it out, Elaine.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's 1903.
Any objection?
Yeah, Your Honor, we believe the first part of the that umbrella guy's tweet should be unredacted for context.
Oh,
Unredacted. Interesting
I
approach.
have no idea what I was replying to.
It's hearsay. It's rank hearsay, and the context
Your Honor,
is not necessary.
your own approach.
Come on, Camille, argue it. I don't know why you'd want it unredacted or redacted. Let's have another look at the tweet, actually. So the original tweet is what she wants. Bringing in the Hicksville incident accusations. Johnny Depp will be accused of being jealous because a woman was sitting close to Amber Heard. Depp said she had taken Happy something. Depp is accused of removing her hand and yelling at Amber. And then they want to unredact that. And then that never happened. I was with them all night. Amber was the one acting all jealous and crazy. So that's it. Hello, fellow trial watchers.
Redaction.
Nice work, Umbrella Man.
With that redaction, any objection?
Lol.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, 1903 will be in evidence with as redacted.
So it did get redacted. Interesting. So she put it into evidence next, unredacted. Oh, God. Your man, I love your man so much. You're a big fan of Johnny Depp, aren't you? Not
No.
really.
So you reached out to the umbrella.
Absolutely
guy
not.
In this text, this Twitter, right?
I wouldn't call it reaching out.
You reached out in this
In
text,
fact,
in this Twitter text. Oh
the
my God.
umbrella guy-
It's so embarrassing that she doesn't know how to use social media. And she's like,
Mr. Adam Waldman. Do you know who Adam Waldman is?
I have no idea.
Well,
Like,
he testified earlier.
you
that
should
he
have the
talks to
context.
umbrella guy.
But anyway.
Did he what? He talks to the umbrella guy?
Yeah. Were you aware of that?
I honestly, this sounds like schizophrenia.
Okay. Now, 4 days after this event where you texted, Your Honor, yeah, it's in. Okay, good. 4 days after that, you tweeted
Do we have another
something
tweet?
pretty nasty about Elon Musk, didn't you?
How is that
I
relevant?
did.
Objection, relevance.
Thank you. So you don't like Elon Musk, right?
Objection, relevance. Thank you, Camille.
I don't know Elon Musk.
Overruled.
Thank you.
So that was the context of that is that he
I
had.
didn't ask you for the context.
I apologize.
Okay.
Rude.
But you texted something that had swear words
Texted.
in it. Would
She
you
needs
agree
to stop.
About Elon Musk.
Yes.
Okay.
Tweeted.
Now, let's talk about your recollections here. 45 minutes to an hour. Your recollection is that Mr. Depp actually drove there?
Yes.
What type of car was he driving?
An old one that was a convertible.
An old convertible?
I'm not a car guy, so I couldn't express the model.
All right, and your recollection was this was May of 2013?
Yes.
Okay, do you recall when in May?
Late May.
Okay. Now, you said that you spent a total of 45 minutes to an hour with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. Is that correct?
After mostly Mr. Depp, but that's after the tour and after they were checked in throughout the course of the night.
Okay. And you don't recall any of the people that were there other than Ms. Heard's sister and the security guard, correct?
I don't recall any of their names.
Do you remember how many of them were female?
I believe
Why is that
it
relevant?
was predominantly female.
Do you remember how many males were there?
I don't, outside of the security guard.
Do you remember what any of the other people looked like?
They honestly just seemed like youngish hipsters, for lack of a better term. I know that previously a couple of them had stayed
Oh, I'd say that cuts
That's
deep.
how they knew about the place.
Love it.
So you don't recall seeing how much anybody had to drink that night, correct?
I did not witness that.
And do you recall the use of drugs at all?
These are the same questions.
Okay. Were you sitting at any point with these people at the campfire?
I was not.
And when you said that
I kind of hate the way she goes, okay, under her
you
breath.
saw
It has been
Ms.
bothering me for a
Hurd
while.
and Mr. Depp and Ms. Hurd was yelling at Mr. Depp, where were they?
She pulled him for a chat, and it was off towards their trailer, like a little bit off towards the dirt.
How many feet were there between the campfire and their trailer?
The campfire and their trailer,
Yes.
approximately 75.
Okay. So where?
I have
in
no
that
idea what
75
75 feet is.
Did Ms. Hurd
Not a
pull
clue.
Mr.
Someone
Depp
needs to translate that to
and,
the metric
yell at
system
him
for
and
me.
he cowered?
20
Okay. 20
from the campfire.
From
not
the
trailer.
campfire.
Yeah.
So your testimony is that Ms. Hurd grabbed Mr. Hurd, pulled him 20 feet over.
Did she just say
yelled at
Mr.
him, and he
Turd?
cowered.
Yes, that's what I witnessed.
She just
then
said
did they
Mr.
go
Turd. She
I
definitely
went
did.
inside the house.
So you don't know whether they returned to the campfire or they returned to their trailer?
I do not.
Okay. And do you know whether there were any disagreements or physical communications, anything of that nature?
Oh my
At
God.
the campfire?
I do not.
Do you know whether Mr. Depp did anything to anybody else at the campfire?
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Do you know whether Mr. Depp grabbed anybody's wrist and asked them if they knew how many pounds of pressure it took to break their wrist?
I wasn't there the whole time.
Okay. Is it your testimony that Mr. Depp and Ms. Hurd went last to their trailer? Everybody else went before them?
The rest of the people, I think about half of them had already gone to bed, and they went.
23 meters.
They went. It was all around the same time at the end of the night. That the rest kind of.
That's not fair at all.
There might have been a couple of people that went right after them or right before, but it was all around the same time.
Okay, so your recollection is that when Amber and Johnny Depp went back to their trailer, that dissipated. Everybody then left at that point.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how far away was your house that you were staying in from the trailer that Amber and Johnny Depp were staying in?
I'd say it was about 75 feet away.
Okay. And the next time that you saw or heard anything was when you went there in the morning and saw the broken sconce. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I didn't hear anything after went to bed.
Okay. And that's the extent of your knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
All right, redirect.
I don't really get what
Mr. Knight,
Lane
how
was
did you
trying
get
to do there.
involved in this trial?
I got a text from one of our old employees who I then talked to for
Objection,
years.
hearsay.
Oh my God, this is really annoying.
Don't tell us what the text said, just how did you
Okay.
get involved?
I got a text from. I got a.
That's still hearsay, Your Honor.
Okay.
Objection.
Overruled.
Thank you. Go on, Mr. Knight.
I was asked if it was.
No.
Objection,
that.
hearsay.
Apologize.
What did you,
I got a
what did
text.
you received a text? Okay.
Yes.
From
and
whom?
From a former employee.
Okay. And how long had it been since you had heard from this former employee?
Hydrate.
Approximately 5 years.
And did you contact Mr. Depp or any of his attorneys?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
I did not.
How did you get in touch with Mr. Depp's attorneys?
They got in touch with me.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
What? How's that hearsay?
They reached out to me.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't have an objection right now.
Thank you.
Only if he talks more.
Next question.
And how do you feel about participating in this trial?
Objection, relevance.
It's extremely relevant considering that they have accused him of being...
Overruled.
They have accused him of being a
How
cloud
do I feel
chaser.
about it?
Yeah.
I'm happy to tell what I saw, and that's the extent of it. I really don't care outside of that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Knight. Nothing
All
further.
right. I assume this witness is not subject to recall. Is that correct? All right. Sir, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Your next witness.
Or is it going to be a deposition, or is it going to...
Apologies, Your Honor. Thank you. Dr. Shaw.
Okay,
Plaintiff
Dr.
calls
Shaw.
Dr. Shaw.
Okay, Dr. Shaw.
I can hear Alex working out downstairs. Because I hear him hopping through the house. Elaine did get a bit trigger happy there, Candelorm, and she was like, no, I don't actually have an objection yet.
Thank you, sir. All right, yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Dr. Shaw. Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Richard John Shaw.
Dr. Shaw, can you please describe your educational background?
This is
I'm a psychiatrist.
Amber's
I went to medical
witness,
school
is it?
at the University of London in England. I went straight after high school.
Although
That's actually the
I
system
thought
in
Camille
the British
introduced
medical
him.
system. I did 2 years of preclinical training and then 3 years of clinical work with patients. Following that, I moved to New Zealand to do an internship. It was an internship in neurology, medicine, surgery, and psychiatry. I spent 3 years in New Zealand, and I did a year of psychiatry residency training. Excuse me.
He seems a bit nervous, which I would be too, in fairness. We are still in DEPP's rebuttal. Okay.
Excuse me. Following that, I moved here to the United States for the first time and did a residency in adult psychiatry at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, which is in New York. That was 4 years of training in the Bronx.
Totally irrelevant, but nice fancy man
I did some
accent.
subspecialty training.
It is a nice fancy man accent.
Family therapy, couples and family therapy as in my 4th year. And after that, I moved to California.
Was this the
and I
person
worked
who
at
was
Stanford.
coaching all
I studied
morning?
at Stanford.
Couching?
I did a
Couching?
fellowship in child and adolescent psychiatry, and I've been at Stanford pretty much since then.
Coughing, maybe.
Dr. Shaw, what is your current position?
I'm a professor of psychiatry in the Department of Psychiatry at Stanford. I also run what's called the Psychiatry Consult Service at the Children's Hospital at Stanford.
What, if any, professional certifications have you received?
I have what's called board certification in adult and general psychiatry. I obtained that from the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology in 1991. And then I obtained subspecialty board certification in child and adolescent psychiatry in 1993.
Are you a member of any professional organizations in the field of psychiatry?
Yes, I am. I'm a member of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. I'm also a member of the Academy of Consultation Liaison Psychiatry.
How long have you been practicing psychiatry?
There is something of
If you
David
include
Bowie
my,
about
training in psychiatry
Definitely.
residency in the US, that would be since 1985.
Is that approximately 35 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What percentage of your practice involves treating patients?
Yeah, approximately 3/4 of my time is working with patients. I work in the pediatric hospital, treating a combination of mainly children and adolescents with severe medical conditions, but also working with parents of children who have
pencil. Where's my pencil?
severe medical conditions. I also consult to
I need to go to the toilet again.
pediatric emergency room, and we evaluate patients who show up with suicide attempts and other
Excuse me.
serious situations.
What does the remaining quarter of your practice entail?
Well, as a professor, I have to do a number of academic activities. So I do research, I do a lot of teaching, I give lectures, I supervise residents, medical students, and fellows in psychiatry. I do some administrative work. Yeah, so it's a pretty diverse, varied day and week.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about your research and academic work?
A lot of my research has involved looking at the issue of trauma and PTSD in parents who have medically fragile children. A lot of these parents are naturally really affected by their child's illness and develop trauma symptoms.
Interesting.
So I've developed some interventions to try to help parents, provide support and treatment to reduce their symptoms of trauma.
Wow.
Have you published articles or books in your area of expertise?
Yes, I have. I've published approximately 70 or probably closer to 80 peer-reviewed manuscripts in different scientific journals.
Damn.
I've also published a number of book chapters on various topics, approximately 30. And I have published
30
3
chapters.
textbooks, one of which has gone into a second edition on topics that are related to my area of expertise. And one of them actually is about the treatment of PTSD in parents of premature infants.
Have you
I was
published,
premature.
A book through the APA?
I think,
actually, all of those books
5 weeks
were
premature or
published
something.
Through the APA, the American
I was in an
Psychiatric
incubator.
Association. They have a publishing
Why I'm
house,
so
and that's been
small.
my, publishing company.
Contrary to popular belief,
What is
my
the
mother
APA?
did not smoke when she was pregnant with me.
The APA, the American Psychiatric Association, not to be confused with the American Psychological Association, is a professional organization that represents psychiatrists in the U.S. The last time I looked at this, I think there's about 37 or
2 months,
38,000
Danielle, wow.
members. And the APA has many different roles.
I never really got how
One of
serious
it
that
is
was when I was a kid. Like I was like,
in
oh, 5 weeks,
psychiatry
haha,
in the
whatever.
US, but it also has an
yeah,
important role
that's a
in
lot.
terms of education. So they host an annual scientific meeting every year in which psychiatrists will present their research. It publishes a number of journals.
Mark, you and your twin were premature as well. Wow, Jesus, preemie gang.
Fairly frequently it publishes guidelines for professional practice or about ethical guidelines that they
I don't really understand yet
as
why
part of
this
their
guy is being
practice.
called, but I'm sure that they will explain
What
it.
ways are you involved with the APA?
Well, I mentioned my publishing.
They're not.
I
Have
also
the jury
present
left?
At the scientific meetings. I last presented
Or
in 2021.
they're not checking with him how much of the
was
trial he's
virtually,
watched.
but on the topic of group therapy for parents with trauma symptoms.
He is looking to where the jury was, so I'm
I
presuming
follow the APA
they're still
and
here
their-
and
their
they're
various
not
guidelines. I think
trying
it's
to
a really
argue.
influential and important
Deadly Carrie, you were 6 weeks late.
institution.
Are you joking? I'd
Going
say your
back to
mother
your
was
credentials,
raging.
What, if any, professional awards have you received?
Oh my God, 46-week pregnancy.
I've
Holy fuck.
been given several teaching awards at Stanford University.
Oh, Greg, you think this might be something to do with
the
DEPP's
American Academy of
kids?
Child and Adolescent Psychiatry that I mentioned.
Because his kid has, his son
honored
does
me with
have
an award for
some sort
service
of
to my
thing,
specialty.
doesn't he? Has
Several
some
years ago,
sort
I don't
of
remember exactly
issue.
when.
Have you given any public presentations in the field of psychiatry?
Yes, that's part of our work as an academic psychiatrist is to lecture, to give presentations. So I present fairly frequently at annual scientific meetings, as I mentioned. I've been invited to give grand round presentations at different medical centers, including University of Pennsylvania and Harvard. So that's just part of our role is to try to educate our colleagues about our work.
Have you
Fair enough.
testified as an expert in the field of psychiatry before?
Yes, I have.
On how many occasions?
I would estimate, in terms of deposition and trial testimony, approximately 50 times in the past 15, 20 years.
What type of cases did you testify as an expert?
They're pretty varied. So some of them have been medical malpractice. I've also done a number of cases evaluating victims who've been subject to physical or sexual assault or trauma.
What work were you asked to do in this case?
Thank you. That's key
My role
question.
in this case was to give my opinions about the testimony and opinions of Dr. Spiegel, whom you heard from yesterday morning.
Interesting.
And
Can't
what
remember.
work have you done to form your opinion?
Can't remember what they were.
I was present yesterday in court listening to his testimony. I have viewed his depositions. He had 2 depositions earlier this year.
This the guy who called him an idiot?
I watched those depositions. I've also read a lot of deposition testimony.
I thought they ripped him
for
apart
example,
without
testimony
needing a
by
rebuttal, but
Mr. Depp psychiatrist, Dr. Blaustein, by his physician, Dr. Kipper.
they obviously are not
nurse
fucking
Debbie
around.
Lloyd. I've reviewed depositions by many of the therapists involved in this case, including
That's why they didn't check like
Dr.
what he'd listened to, because
Banks,
he's
the
supposed to have listened
relationship
to it.
consultant, Dr. Cohen, who was Ms. Heard's therapist, and I think Dr. Anderson, who I think provided some couples therapy. I've also reviewed the medical records of Dr. Kipper and Dr. Blaustein, and some various email communications. I think a lot of the information that has been talked about here.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to offer Dr. Shaw as an expert in the field of psychiatry.
Any objection?
We approach.
Okay.
Excuse me. Who's the lawyer and which side is she on? Yeah, there's a girl, I was like, I think... I don't know, actually. Whoever was like, we'd like to offer him as an expert is on DEPP's side, I think. And then whoever had said, because I took my eyes off it, whoever had said, can we approach, I'm presuming, is from the other side. God, it must be so awkward there, sitting there in the courtroom.
All right. So any objection?
No objection, Your
All
Honor.
right. So
Sit down.
Moved as an expert. Thank you.
Dr. Shaw, you testified that you observed Dr. Spiegel's testimony yesterday.
Yes, that's correct.
And to reorient the jury, can you please generally describe the main areas in which Dr. Spiegel testified?
That's going to be an objection.
Yes,
Objection, Your Honor. They heard what he testified to. What's his
Like, are you joking?
Foundation to reorient them?
That's okay. We can move forward.
Okay. Do you have an opinion of Dr. Spiegel's testimony?
Yes, I do.
And what is your opinion?
I have a couple of primary opinions. The first is that my opinion is that he violated the ethical principles that are outlined in the Goldwater Rule when he gave his opinions about Mr. Depp, specifically with relationship to personality traits and his cognitive abilities. My second primary opinion would be that Dr. Spiegel's opinions were unreliable and that he had insufficient information.
Objection, Your Honor.
All right. If you want to approach.
Yeah.
Oof. Damn. My opinion is that he is an idiot. No slouch, knocking around. Yeah. That last guy sucked, Dr. Fancy. Oh, God. It must be very strange to have to sit there because you can definitely, surely hear them arguing with the judge or right beside you. I'm writing down in my diary when the 6-month anniversary is here, by the way. Because we're going to do a stream for the 6-month anniversary of streaming. So the other doctor could give his opinion based on watching JD on TV, but this doctor can't give his opinion on that doctor. Yeah, true. Yeah, this could be good. He's given evidence multiple times before. Good call out. Do 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 do. Gonna make a move to a time that's right for me. I know some places have become more comfortable clothing in offices and stuff, but I think dressing well stands out. Yeah, well, I think they're all kind of going with that approach. Maybe not all the witnesses, but definitely everyone in the courtroom. Like Johnny keeps wearing suits. She keeps wearing like these really weird outfits that are supposed to be super fancy, make her look like Dr. Evil. But yeah, I was trying to think, like, what would I wear if I had to be in court every single day for 6 weeks? Wouldn't have enough clothes. Like, I actually just wouldn't. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yeah, why is Funky Town in my head? I don't understand. I'd wear a form-fitting dress, like a well-structured one and a blazer. Yeah, I'd do that one day. Another day I might wear trouser pants and a blouse. And then I'd begin to start running out of options. I probably have 6, I want to say 4, but we'll say 6 blouses that you could swap around with trousers, and then you could also put each of them with like a form-fitting skirt if you wanted. So you'd have 12 outfits there to start. See, that's the thing. I definitely want to wear a hoodie. Yeah, wear some Glizzard merch. Jesus, now if I could wear tag gear, I'd be grand. I'd have a different set of tag gear for every day in this trial if I was allowed to wear that. I'm going to need to go to the toilet again. Man, this hydrate is really getting me. Okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to go.
Dr. Shaw, you mentioned the Goldwater rule. What led up to the publication of the Goldwater rule?
The Goldwater rule came about in response to an incident that occurred during the 1964 presidential election when Senator Barry Goldwater was running as a Republican candidate. And there was a magazine called Fact Magazine that started a campaign to discredit Senator Goldwater. And they obtained a mailing list from the AMA and sent out a single survey questionnaire to about 12,000 psychiatrists in the US, asking if they felt that Senator Goldwater was fit to run for office. And about 2,000 psychiatrists responded, 1,000 of whom expressed very negative opinions about Senator Goldwater and made comments such as, for example, he was a megalomaniac, he was a paranoid schizophrenic.
That's hearsay. Come on.
That he had narcissistic personality disorder.
I've missed the start of this, so I don't know whether it is or not.
He was replaced as a candidate.
Danielle, I get my tag shorts from OzTag or from Stag, from TriTag Rugby in the UK. TriTag Rugby in the UK is the,
in response to
it's the easiest place to get them at the minute because the postage is cheapest because it's the closest, because OzTag is in Australia. But I think the Irish Tag Rugby Association now has a shop as well, so you can just buy them there. But yeah, loads of my kit is custom, so we get a custom made designed from OzTag and ordered from them.
Of the Goldwater rule was that it was improper.
Thank you, Candle Borman, catching me up there.
Render a professional opinion about a public figure unless they had personally and closely evaluated them.
What justifications did the APA provide, other than the ones you mentioned, for enacting the Goldwater rule?
They wanted to make sure that psychiatric illness wasn't being stigmatized. They wanted to ensure that individuals weren't defamed by statements made by a psychiatrist that weren't backed up by medical evidence. And they also wanted to preserve the integrity of the psychiatric profession, since I think the public in general, when a psychiatrist speaks out publicly and expresses an opinion, a psychiatric opinion, people generally like to take that seriously, and the APA wanted to make sure that those opinions were credible and could be relied upon.
Have there been any updates to the Goldwater rule?
Yeah, since 1973, which was when the Goldwater rule first came out, there have been a number of revisions and publications by the APA. They're called Annotations in Psychiatry, in which the Goldwater rule has been better defined and expanded to some degree. So, for example, in 2017, in this publication, the APA reasserted that it was not ethical to provide a psychiatric or professional opinion about someone who had not been evaluated personally by that psychiatrist, that it was unethical to provide an evaluation without obtaining consent from that individual. They also sort of really kind of defined what a professional opinion is, and how they defined it is that an opinion that a psychiatrist expresses about someone's speech, behavior, or any characteristic about that person, if that opinion is made using the expertise, experience, and knowledge.
So I'm just sending a message here. This is a little boring, but I know it's really important.
Opinion. So it might include making a diagnosis or not making a diagnosis. And the other, I think, a couple of important things about that 2017 document were that the APA specified that if a psychiatrist is to give an opinion about someone, about the diagnosis or personality characteristics, whatever, that they have to follow an appropriate methodology. They have to do an evaluation that follows the standard practice of a psychiatrist here in the US. And if they don't do that, they are considered to be, affecting the integrity of both the psychiatrist and the psychiatric profession. And this revision of the Goldwater rule definitely received a lot of support. The president of the APA at the time stated that breaking the Goldwater rule was irresponsible, stigmatizing, and definitely unethical. So that was a very strong statement from the president of the APA.
What other medical organizations have weighed in on this issue?
Yeah, the number of organizations have their own sort of version of the Goldwater rule. The American Medical Association, that represents physicians in the US, has an annual meeting, and they have what's called a Council of Ethical and Judicial Affairs, and they had a meeting in 2017 in Honolulu, and they came out with their own statement about the issue of whether physicians can provide opinions without directly evaluating somebody. And their opinion was that physicians should refrain from giving a psychiatric diagnosis about any public figure, including celebrities and people in the media.
Are there exceptions to the Goldwater rule?
There are exceptions, yeah. And I think Dr. Spiegel had a lot to say about this yesterday when he was saying that if you couldn't express an opinion without evaluating someone, it sort of made the whole specialty or role of experts in the court sort of null and void. But there are exceptions and situations in which an expert can give testimony in court. So one good example would be if there was a medical malpractice case, or if there was a case that involved a patient who'd committed suicide and the courts wanted to find out whether the psychiatrist had followed appropriate practice. The expert can review medical records and can give an opinion based on those records, provided those records have sufficient information, for example, about the diagnoses, about the treatment, about how the patient was responding or not responding to treatment.
Did you form an opinion about whether Dr. Spiegel complied with the Goldwater rule?
Well, my opinion is that he did not. He expressed a number of professional opinions about Mr. DEPP that we heard about yesterday. And again, he did so without an evaluation, without consent. He did not follow the guidelines of the APA in the 2017 revision, where it was considered important that there be sufficient information obtained by that expert to give an opinion. So I would definitely felt that his conduct, unfortunately, did violate the Goldwater rule.
And specifically, what opinions of that Dr. Spiegel gave yesterday do you feel violated the Goldwater rule?
Yeah, I think that, well, there were sort of two primary ones. The first that you heard about was that Dr. Spiegel had professional opinions about Mr. DEPP's personality. And he talked a lot about how he believed that Mr. DEPP had narcissistic personality traits. So, and he also, talked a lot about narcissistic personality disorder. So, narcissistic personality disorder is a diagnosis in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It's called the DSM-5 for short. It's a diagnostic manual published by the APA.
Objection, Your Honor. Can we break for a moment?
Okay.
Right, sorry. To catch up on chat, have you ever slept in the Emma bed, Claire? I have slept in the Emma bed, and so has Alex. I've slept in the Emma bed. It's both been when we've had arguments. But I would normally always sleep in the spare room if we were having an argument, like no matter who was mad at who, would always end up, because he would always just go into, he'd be like, this is my bed, and he'd go into his bed. But as soon as we got Emma, the very first argument we had after that, he slept in here. And I was like, you fucking love that bed, don't you? So yeah, because we have an orthopedic bed, which is why the Emma bed's not in our bedroom. But it's lovely, it's so soft. So yeah, he took that opportunity when I was fighting.
Go ahead, Dr. Shaw, please continue.
Sure. So I was just talking about narcissistic personality disorder in the DSM-5. So the diagnostic criteria for that are, I'm not going to remember every word about this, but essentially it's a pattern of grandiosity, a need for admiration, a lack of empathy that's demonstrated by that person since young adulthood. And the DSM-5 has
How would he know
9
any of those
specific
things?
criteria.
Seeing as he
And
never
for someone
talked
to
to
meet
Johnny
the
Depp.
diagnosis, you have to meet 5 of those criteria. And so when, as a psychiatrist, we're trying to make a diagnosis of any personality disorder or any diagnosis in general, the normal professional guidelines would dictate that we would do a very careful diagnostic
I'd say Elaine is absolutely
interview.
raging that she couldn't bring
And there
someone
are
in
actually
to
interviews
discredit Dr.
specifically
Curry,
written to assess personality disorders.
because I'd say Dr.
It's
Curry's
also
testimony was
possible to have,
damning.
The individual fill out questionnaires. There's something called the Narcissistic Personality Inventory. This is a 40-item checklist
40 items.
that taps into various components of narcissistic personality disorder. And it's also possible to get psychological testing, like the MMPI that I think you heard about in reference to one of the other experts here. So with all of this information, including collateral information from family members, work colleagues, information of that sort, it is possible to come up with a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. So in the case of Dr. Spiegel, he had none of this information, even though he came out and stated with what he described as a degree of medical certainty that Mr. Depp had narcissistic personality traits. And if you remember somewhat towards the end of his testimony yesterday, he was asked to, since he couldn't provide any documentation from the medical record about narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic personality traits, he was asked about what is referred to a lot in his testimony as record evidence. So information that he obtained from depositions, from text messages, from emails, whatever. And
Thank you for
so
gifting
he was
subs,
asked to
Greg.
pick, I think 5
Welcome,
examples of record evidence
Mac
that
War
would
Rat.
make it seem like Mr. Depp met criteria for
Thank you for cheering,
narcissistic
Mark.
personality traits.
Mac
And I'll
War
just
Rat.
mention a couple of them,
Wraith.
just to illustrate my
Going to
opinion
bed.
is that
9 p.m.
testimony
here. I
did
suppose
not
that's
really
bedtime. Are
hold
you
together.
in my time
So
zone?
he stated, for example, that one of the
This is a little
criteria for
boring. Dr. Fancy is a little boring, I'll be
narcissistic
honest.
Personality disorder is a sense of entitlement.
Like, I get
And
it's
the
really
example
important.
Dr.
It's kind of
Spiegel
boring,
gave
to be honest.
is that he believed that Miss Heard married him for his money. So clearly, sense of entitlement is from a psychiatry perspective, that's very different from a belief that someone wanted you for your money. A second example that was given was that he was asked to give an example of how Mr. Depp had shown that he was envious of others, which is another criterion for narcissistic personality disorder. And the example that Dr. Spiegel gave is that Mr. Depp was jealous of Miss Heard because he believed she was having an affair with Mr. Franco.
But she was.
Now, if we look at these two terms as a psychiatrist, there's a big difference between being envious and being jealous. As a
Interesting.
psychiatrist, when I think about envy, I think about somebody wants something that someone else has, and it makes them feel
Objection, Your
bad.
Honor. I think this is going beyond this.
All right.
It's not really.
He's giving his opinion as to how Dr. Spiegel violated the Goldwater rule with respect to his testimony about narcissistic personality traits.
He did, but now sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. Okay, and you mentioned 2 major examples. What was the second one?
The second one
Sorry,
was
could you?
confusing
I'm going to ask again.
being envious with being jealous.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Shaw. I mean, you mentioned 2 major examples of ways Dr. Spiegel violated the Goldwater rule. What is the second?
Oh, sure. So the other big category had
Yeah,
to do
he is
with,
absolutely
Dr.
taking
Spiegel's
apart the evidence. But yeah,
evaluation
it was a
of
bit
Mr.
boring.
Depp's cognitive abilities. And his general opinion was that Mr. Depp had deficits in his memory, in his attention, in his processing speed, that he had word-finding difficulties. Again, Dr. Spiegel did not evaluate Mr. Depp, and the information that he relied upon, there were two pieces of information. The first was that he watched a very long deposition that Mr. Depp gave the day after I think he had flown back from London to the East Coast. And he made observations about Mr. Depp's behavior in that deposition, and felt that he could opine or give an
Mac
opinion
Warrath, you're from Scotland.
processing speed and other
So it is 9 p.m. where you are, isn't it?
aspects.
It's early to bed.
He also
Early to
made
bed,
reference to
early
something
to rise.
about
What's that
yesterday,
expression?
This thing called the mini mental
Makes a man
status
healthy,
examination.
wealthy, and
This
wise.
is a brief screen for memory and cognitive functioning that is often done. And
Interesting, you can't
he
highlight
testified that
Tipex.
Dr. Blaustein had administered the mini mental status examination.
But I got it at like 5 a.m. Oh my god.
You know, from the records, all we know
Gross.
is that
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection.
Yawn.
Dr. Shaw, without going into Dr. Blaustein's record, what information does a mini mental exam provide?
Objection, Your Honor. It's beyond the scope of his designation.
Overruled as to that limited question.
yeah, so the mini mental status is it's a series of about 10 or 11 questions and tasks that someone completes, and you get a score out of 30. What Dr. Spiegel testified was that Mr. Depp could not recall 3 words after 5 minutes. And he used that as an example.
He
of
also
Mr.
fucking
Depp having cognitive
did his
deficits
fucking
that
baseline
he
off Pirates of the Caribbean.
Specifically attributed to Mr. Depp's alcohol and substance abuse. And he really did not have sufficient information. I liken a mini mental status exam as it's like taking someone's temperature. If it's elevated.
Objection, Your Honor. And I think it's going beyond.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Now it's probably a good time for a break.
Okay, sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know you had a break, but we didn't. So we're going to go ahead and take our afternoon break for 15 minutes. Do not discuss the case and do not do any outside research, okay? You can stay right there, Doctor.
Oh god. Oh no, there's been another school shooting. Fuck. JD thought AH married him for his money. Gee, wherever could he have got that idea? But she donated, or sorry, she pledged it all, though. So that just goes to show she didn't want anything.
15 minutes too, so
She
okay,
pledged
we'll
it all.
Come back at 4:17 then?
Didn't
Today?
donate it. She pledged it all. I think we should call it a night here. It's because it's another break. It's 9 p.m. my time. And tired now. Thank you so much for joining. It was good crack. I really enjoyed that today now. The second half was a bit boring. Maybe I should only do the first half. Although yesterday the second half... Oh no, the second half was boring yesterday as well, actually. Maybe I should just do the first half. It's been a bit dry. And then I was like, I've been losing attention and stuff, so, you know. But thank you for joining. Socials. That isn't a command, I don't think. Probably should be. But at Clizair is all my socials. Should I set that up so that command brings up a list of links? Can I do that? That would be sick if I could do that. Okay, bye guys. Yeah, it's a good one. Okay, I'll try and set that up. Thank you. See you soon.